welcome to my channel. My name is Colleen, and this month my family is really focusing on our grocery budget. If you saw in my last video, we spent $331 on groceries for the month of February for a family of 3, so 2 adults and a toddler. I'm pretty proud of that number. I know a big part of that has to do with these pantry challenges. I'm not letting food go to waste as often. I'm trying to extend the life of the groceries we buy, so we're not going to the store as often, because the more I go to the store, the more I want to pick up that Diet Pepsi or that little bag of chips, something that's just going to increase my spending. So this month we're trying another one, so let's jump on in and I'll show you what we made. So I always prep my bacon in the oven, and this will be used for 2 recipes. To go with our bacon, making some pancakes, finishing off this box. I always tend to get the complete one, so I just need to add water. So I have about 2.5 cups of batter in here with what I guess is the right amount of water. I'm gonna let it sit and thicken, and then I should have pancakes to get us through the week. I ended up with about 14 pancakes. Alright, bacon is all done. I'm going to transfer this to some paper towel, and I will be saving this grease for later cooking. We got our pancakes, bacon, and I got some sugar-free syrup. I went through my freezer and I found these. They are, I think, 4 kind of small chicken quarters that I froze back in October, so it's time to cook these up. And I just wrote in here what I marinated them in. So some steak seasoning, soy sauce, and olive oil. I pulled these out yesterday. You can see some of the fat is still congealed. I pulled these out yesterday to defrost. I'm going to bake them. And this will either make an easy dinner that we can throw as sides, or enough for lunches I can throw on salads for the week. Okay, I've got my chicken cores out. You can see some are a bit bigger, whereas these are kind of small. I'm going to put these in a 425 degree oven for about 45 minutes. Alright, I've got my chicken prepping. I put it on high. And I put about 2 packs of Costco's chicken thighs just in my crock pot to just cook. So for the chicken, it's going to be used for like 4 different recipes. So I'm going to go in that prepped to try and get as much ready for the week as I can. I did not get everything I wanted cooked, but I did get, we had mac and cheese. I went ahead and just made 2 boxes. This will be easy heat up for when my husband gets off work. I made all those chicken thighs in the crock pot. It came out to about 4 or 5 of them. And I got about 1 pound, 3 ounces of meat. This will be used between 3 different recipes. And then here are the chicken quarters. They came out looking beautiful. This again will probably be my lunches for the whole week. I got my lunch right here. Some lettuce, carrot, some radishes, Caesar dressing, and a little feta. I just heated up that chicken that I pulled from the freezer in the air fryer for maybe like 10 minutes while I was chopping all this up. And this will definitely keep me full for a while. This was another one of my lunches, just a simple grilled cheese. And I found some homemade tomato soup in the freezer. So I pulled that out. We've been having this for lunches. Okay, so tonight for dinner, we're having some chicken tenders with a bacon gravy. So I just have some chicken tenders that I got from Costco a few weeks ago. Put a light layer of mayonnaise and just kind of sprinkled on Parmesan cheese. I only had this kind. If you have any other kind, it'll work just the same. These will bake at 400 degrees for about 40 to 50 minutes. For a side, I'm just opened up a can of green beans. I'm just going to air fry these and season them, and then serve it with a side salad. For the green beans, I chose a simple salt and pepper, add some Parmesan cheese, onion powder, garlic powder. And for the paprika, I opened the wrong one. So you can see here, they're going to be very paprika-y. Okay, while my chicken's in the oven, I'm going to get working on my sauce. So for this recipe is the bacon gravy. So earlier today you saw I made some bacon in the oven. I do always save my grease. You need the grease for about 2 strips of bacon. So I'm just going to use a spoonful of this. This is some cream cheese I've never tried before, but I got it for free off Ibotta, so we'll give it a shot. We got some heavy whipping cream that has not been opened yet. And the date is coming up real close. We're going to use that. Some garlic powder, salt and pepper to taste, and some more Parmesan cheese. So here I'm just melting my bacon fat. I did use a heaping teaspoon. I didn't use a heaping teaspoon because I do double the sauce recipe because I always love leftovers. Now that my bacon grease is melted, like I said, I am doubling this recipe, so I'm using a full cup of heavy whipping cream. For the normal recipe, you just use half a cup. Now that we see a foam is kind of getting around the edges of it, we're going to go ahead and add in our cream cheese. Okay, we've added in our cream cheese, and we're just going to wait until we get this all melted and everything combined really, really well. This will help thicken this up. Okay, so our sauce is definitely coming together. It's not super thick. I'm going to go ahead to the next step. Since I'm doubling the recipe, I'll add about 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. I don't measure, I just kind of add till it looks right. And then a full teaspoon of garlic powder. Again, I don't really measure this, I just kind of add it to taste. The sauce is done. You can see here, it is nice and thick. So I'm taking it off heat, and I'm just going to let it keep thickening. So you only have a little bit until the chicken's done. My plate's all done. I got my chicken right there. My overly paprika green beans, and just some lettuce because I didn't feel like cutting up any other veggies. And now for the sauce. I'm just going to go ahead and drizzle this on the chicken. And then I have some bacon bits in the fridge that I'm going to top them off with, even though there is some bacon in here. It's pretty much like a chicken mac and cheese with broccoli. Nothing crazy here. So I've got some pasta that I've had in my pantry forever. Small onion, some frozen broccoli. This is some chicken stock I made forever ago. I'm going to defrost this. Just easy garlic, salt, pepper. The chicken that you saw me prep earlier, I'm going to use a third to a half of this. 1.5 cups of milk, 8-ounce block of cheese, and just 2 tablespoons of butter or an oil. Right, I've got my water coming to a boil. Put some salt in here. Got my butter melted. I'm going to go ahead and add my onions. I got my 1 small onion added. Just going to give it a mix so it's all nicely coated in the butter. And I'm going to let it cook for about 3 minutes before I add the garlic to it. I went ahead and added my garlic. I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick mix. And let them be friends for a few seconds before I go ahead and add our flour. Is there a better smell than onions, garlic, sauteed in butter? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add my 3 tablespoons of flour. And I'm going to make sure that I mix and get everything coated. I slowly added my 1 cup of chicken broth that I defrosted from the freezer. I'm going to make sure there are no clumps, and then we're going to go ahead and add the milk and seasoning. I have added my salt and pepper and my milk. And I'm just going to let this mix for a few minutes. My water is boiling. I'm going to go ahead and add my 8 ounces. My pasta's been cooking for about 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and add my frozen broccoli. I kind of let it get to room temp. And I'm going to cook these for about 2 minutes until the pasta's all done. The pasta and broccoli is done. I just went ahead and drained it. I'm going to put it right into, get it all. Put it right into my baking dish. So now that this is simmering, I'm going to take it off the heat. I'm going to add about half of that sharp cheddar that we grated earlier. I'm just going to mix it on in here until everything is well incorporated. This is almost all melted. Once it's melted, I am going to let it sit and kind of thicken up. Because you can see here, it's really, really loose. While this thickens, I'm going to go ahead and get that chicken together. I'm going to go ahead and mix it up in the pasta while this thickens before I pour this on top. I added probably about 9.5 ounces of chicken. I'm going to go ahead and give that a quick mix. I let this sit here maybe just for a couple minutes while I kind of got everything in the dish assembled. It hasn't really thickened up much. I kind of want to add a little more cheese to it, and then I'm just going to pour it on top of everything. I've got my cheese sauce added. I'm going to give everything a mix, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of that cheddar cheese just right on top. All right. I need to remember to read all the instructions before I start. So you're supposed to bake this and then add the cheese and bake more, but I've already added it, so here we are. I'm also going to add on top some flaky Parmesan cheese and some breadcrumbs because I love a really crisp topping. All right, I'm all done. I think it looks beautiful. Now I'm actually gonna let this cool completely and then I'm gonna put it in the fridge. My plan is to make this tomorrow for dinner. So dinner tonight, it's gonna be like a chicken rice stew type thing. I'm not 100% sure. So I'm just softening and melting some butter. And over here I found some celery in my freezer that I cut up, about 2 kind of small medium carrots and about half of a small onion. I'm going to go ahead and saute those until they are soft. Now that my veggies have sauteed, I went ahead and added some salt, pepper, and Italian seasoning. Here's where you would add your chicken broth. I have the powdered broth, so I'm just adding my water. And then here you will see me adding in the chicken broth powder. Next, we're going to go ahead and add our heavy whipping cream and chicken, and then our 1 cup of uncooked rice. Then we'll just cook per normal instructions, covered for about 15 minutes. I don't know about you guys, but just basic, like great value bread has gone from like 90 cents up to like $1.40 where I am, but every month it goes up about 10-15 cents. Since I'm not going to the grocery store and we ran out of bread yesterday, I'm going to attempt making it myself. So use this. I have 2 teaspoons of yeast in there. I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of sugar. Then I have 2 cups of warm water. Okay. I'm going to give it a little mix. And then I'm going to leave it alone for maybe 5 or 10 minutes until it starts like bubbling and blooming. I have gone ahead and added 4 cups of all-purpose flour. The recipe calls for 4 to 5, so we'll see how it goes. Then I have 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to give this a little mix while we wait for the yeast to bloom. Okay, I let this sit for maybe 10-11 minutes, and it's definitely bloomed. Oops. And doubled a bit in size. First, I'm going to add half a stick of butter to my flour mixture. I've got my stick of butter. Go ahead and add this whole mixture in here. Okay, I've got everything in. I've got my dough hook. Go ahead and lock that. I'm going to let this knead for about 5 minutes, and then I will check on it. So it kneaded for about 10 minutes, and I definitely added some more flour. It doesn't look exactly right, but this is where I'm at. So I'm preheating my oven to 375. I'm going to let this proof for about 20 to 30 minutes with a little towel on it. We'll be back. Okay. It has been 30 minutes. Let's see how it looks. Well, it definitely rose. So I put it on my floured surface, and this says to punch the air out. So, oh god, that is soft. A little sticky. I'm going to go ahead and kind of knead it a little bit, and then I'm going to put it in the shape of a loaf of bread. Okay, it's been proofing for 30 minutes. Okay, and it definitely rose. So we can go ahead and get this into the oven. So it's been 15 minutes. Oh, that's how it's looking now. And it says to bump this down to 350 and bake about another like 40 minutes. Oh my goodness. It's been 40 minutes and my house smells amazing. Ooh, look at that. So my attempted designs, I don't hate it. My bread definitely has some character. It's a little fluffy for its container, but it smells amazing. I'm gonna brush some butter on it and wait for it to fully cool. I'm on my last meal for the week. We are going to make some homemade pizza dough, but we've made this pizza dough probably about 10 times. Now the recipe says you can make it and then cook it that same day. We like to have it proof and then sit in the fridge for about a day or so. So this will be dinner tomorrow. I'll leave a link to this recipe below. It does make 2 fairly good sized pizzas. So I got my stand mixer all set up on the dough setting. I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 1/4 teaspoon of my yeast. This should be the equivalent of 1 packet. I'm gonna add in 2 teaspoons of sugar. And then I'm gonna add 1.5 cups of warm water. And I'm gonna let it sit here for just a few minutes to get the yeast active. Okay, so I got everything in here. I'm gonna let it sit for a few minutes while I get my dry ingredients ready. While this is proofing, we only need a few more ingredients for the dough. So we need salt. Just got this Chivo salt. It says bread flour, but we always just use our all-purpose. And then some olive oil. My yeast has proofed. I added in 3.5 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of salt, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Go ahead and lock this. I'm gonna let it knead for 5 minutes. I've got a clean bowl that I just put a little bit of olive oil on it. I'm just gonna give this a good mix to make sure it's very evenly coated with the oil. I'm gonna take a dry towel that I have. I'm gonna let this rest for 30 minutes up to an hour and a half until it has doubled in size. It has been about an hour and a half. As you can see, our pizza dough grew a whole lot. So soft. I'm going to go ahead and knead this a little bit. Kind of punch. Ooh. That was much more satisfying than the bread. Kind of knead this down. Give this a little mix here. I am going to put this in the fridge until we're ready to use it tomorrow. Okay. So tonight we're making the pizza, but I do not have any mozzarella cheese. But I found these cheese sticks in my fridge that I don't know how long they've been here since they're vacuum sealed. Like they're okay. So I'm gonna try and shred them and hopefully it works. So it worked pretty well. Except we did get some big kind of chunks that I'm not quite sure what to do with. Right, so I was able to clear out some cheese sticks that had been in my fridge for way too long. About 6 of them. This is how much cheese I got. I'm probably a little shy, but still pretty good. Right, so I've got my oven preheating to 500. Now, let me get my dough out. I'm gonna take about half of this because like I said, this makes 2 fairly large sized pizzas. You could have it make 3 or more, kind of depending on your oven and what you're looking to do. I'll put this, just gonna put that back in the bowl. I'm just gonna toss that over it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and knead this. And then I'm just gonna roll it out. I've got just a very lightly floured surface. Okay, so we got our dough rolled out, got my cheese, some pizza sauce, that pepperoni from the freezer video, I'll link that below, and some Italian seasoning. Okay, we've got the pizza on the tray. It's a little big for it. And the tray I had in the oven preheating. That's it. We are done with our pantry challenge. We made it the whole week. We have lots of leftovers that we'll probably be eating for the next like 2 days at least. So that's a few more days of not cooking for me, which I love. So most of my meals went to plan, except for the bread. It didn't quite turn out right for sandwiches. So I'm gonna think of something else to do with it. And then the pizza. The first pizza set off all my smoke detectors. I don't know why. There was no smoke, there was nothing, but every single smoke detector in my house was going off, which was just great. And then we were supposed to do a like chicken Alfredo type pizza, but I thought I had Alfredo sauce. And then when we went looking for it, we couldn't find it. Are you funny? So when we went looking for the Alfredo sauce in our pantry, we couldn't find it anywhere. We thought about calling my sister-in-law, because she lives like 2 blocks away, to see if she had some. But instead, we found an almost empty jar of Sweet Baby Ray's. So it became a barbecue chicken bacon pizza, which worked out just the same. So thank you for stopping by and watching me cook this week. Hopefully this gave you some inspiration for using up your leftovers in creative ways or even not so creative ways, but just making sure we're making use of what we already have. If you like this kind of content, please give this video a thumbs up. I do have a few more videos like this coming up in the next few weeks as I'm trying to clear everything out of my fridge and freezers. Well, I'll see you guys all next time. Bye.